I thought you got a C.
Man. That'd be fucking gross, man.
Zone.
Be fucking gross. But we're working. I just said this is the second wrong thing. So we're back from our break. This break, you have to roll the R. Wait, you have to roll the R.
Roll.
Okay, so
I'm so excited just seeing the headline of this email.
Okay, so this is the second submission that we got, and thank you again for sending your submissions because I really enjoyed this. Like, please send more.
It's been a really good jumping off point for talking. I think we're learning a lot more.
Yeah, I think it's just interactive, isn't it? We're bringing your voices on, so thank you.
The more we talk, the more we open up, the more we learn, and being a pace of knowledge is always better.
There you go. See Josh out here being a poet. But without further ado, let me read the second submission. This is from Anonymous. Your name. Why do you be anonymous? Do you know that song? Google it. Is it Bobby Valentino? I wanna know. It's a great song from my childhood. Anyway, this email is from a person working in the justice system. Anonymous. I knew it was Bobby Valentino. Sorry, I just had to check. From a person working in the justice system, and I'm gonna read it out now. So let me go. So the biggest thing I think needs to change is the discrediting of victims when it comes to sexual crimes. For instance, a case I recently saw, female victim, 18th birthday party, claims that's how it is put it in the report as there are no evidence of, that the drink was spiked, went home with a guy she'd been talking to on Facebook, he allegedly raped her. They had all the recent evidence with DNA, witness accounts of her getting into the taxi for getting in the taxi for worse stay, etc. However, they discredited her because a few weeks prior to the attack, she sent sexualized photos to the attacker. All of a sudden, a shadow was cast over the victim because she came across as a young and sexy woman who was openly admitted to wanted to have sex with this man, and it happened to be her birthday. She was ready for a wild night. The words wild were taken from a status she put on Facebook on the night of the attack. Oh my god, this is already fucking triggering me. She didn't write that. That's how I feel. So yeah, it really worries me, upsets me, and offends me that a woman or a victim can have all these tick boxes with DNA, witness accounts, etc. But the moment she is seen online, etc., or word something wrong, she is immediately discredited. Second thing, following the same case, it ended up in court despite the bad rep this poor young lady got, and she got ripped apart by the defense. Now, she was warned by the clerks beforehand that walked her around the room where people would be sitting or standing, what kind of questions she would ask. She just wasn't prepped. She went through absolute hell and back and was made to feel like the one who was being prosecuted. It gave her even more trauma. I'm going to repeat that again. It gave her even more trauma. Thirdly, after the court case and her dismissal sentence...
And his dismal sentence.
Sorry, after this court case and his dismal sentence, which I also feel needs to be addressed, she wasn't given any support or offer of counselling. She was issued a liaison officer after 2-3 months after the sentencing. She also had 2-3 months alone, scared, and no professional support. I believe that this is the case for most victims, which is shameful. Different sectors of the justice system are too slow on paperwork, meaning people are being left out or behind. Oh my god. Different sectors of the justice system are too slow on paperwork, meaning people are being left out or left behind. What the fuck have I been saying this whole episode?
I think this is really interesting about looking at these. I don't even want to say this is the grey area, because basically what I'm saying is that most people, when they are harassed, raped, essayed, it's not just some randomer who pops out of dark alleyway with 3 teeth and goes and drags them off. It's like
most cases it's someone that you fucking know.
It's someone that you know, and it might be someone who you've previously shown interest in. Yeah. But then it's like, yeah, she sent these photos a week earlier, but it's like we're talking about this now. I mean, like, obviously, have you heard of the whole situation with James Charles?
Who's James Charles?
the makeup guy on YouTube.
No.
Do you not know who James Charles is?
No, I don't know who James Charles is.
He's like the most well-known.
I'm like new to YouTube, but also I'm not. I know
this guy.
I recognize his face. Is he friends with who's the other racist white man? Not him. Yeah, he's friends with him.
Jeffree Star.
Yeah, he's
he used to be friends with Jeffree.
See, I don't know him, but I know he's friends with Jeffree Star.
Well, he used to be. But basically, recently allegations have come out. He's basically been sexting underage boys.
Oh my god.
And the thing is that there's been a lot of victim blaming in that because the kids, some of them lied about their age, some of them, but it's like some of them literally had their ages in their bios.
Exactly.
Like he could have done 5 minutes of research and found out. And it's like we have to look that there are sometimes these grey zones where yes, they may have sent their photos, but if you're 16 years old and someone famous is asking you for something, especially when they're so immensely famous, they could open so many doors for you economically, socially. And
he's 21 as well.
Yeah,
that's weird. Oh no, who's this? Ian Jeffrey. Oh, for a second I thought he was related to Jeffree Star.
No, he's not related to Jeffree Star. But it's like, I mean, oh my god, I didn't know Jeffree Star had been in a car accident.
Oh, so Jeffree Star has been in a car accident. In his Rolls Royce. It's a bad car accident. He has a neck brace. Sorry, this is just live information that we're just learning about. Literally direct. We're literally on the news and we just saw this.
This is the thing. It's like...
Let's go back to the other guy.
This is the thing. It's like there are grey zones that exist where it's like it isn't just some guy who pops off out the street. And the other bit about this story that really makes me angry is the drugging. Yeah. Because I get... the fact that this is even a thing that happens annoys me so incredibly much, that you would put a substance into someone's body that they like those drugs
they didn't choose to take. That's
and it's like
evil. I don't know what to say.
It could kill them. Yeah. Like it could straight up kill them. And I'm sure people have died because of it.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Let's say the people that have been spiked, but they don't know they're spiked. No, sorry, they don't know they've been spiked, so they're just drinking. Like there's no, they're just drinking out here drinking, but they're drinking so much that they could even put themselves in in a bad state. You know, you've seen fucking Manchester on a fucking Saturday night. Like, we shouldn't be out. Do you know what I mean?
I see people I've been walking back from the Tesco's near my flat, so I live quite close to city centre. Yeah. And I just see people in an Uber they open the door, lean out and throw up, and then they keep driving.
Exactly. But this is what I mean. Like people drink to get wasted. Just imagine if you get spiked. That could literally kill you.
Well, it's like it'll literally kill you in like if you have an allergic reaction. Yeah. They could load you into an ambulance and you don't even know what you've been spiked with. Yeah. Like they might have a drug that they know that will be active in helping you recover from this drug or helping to neutralize it. But if you don't know what's been put in your body, and it can also put like the person who spiked you might not necessarily be the person who then goes on to like either I know there's been robbing, like I've heard stories of people who have just like woken up in a different part of the city without their phone.
No, exactly. No, but it's true. It's so true. Like I think this conversation, it like expand. Where is this email? There it is. Where is this one? Yeah. This conversation expands on so much more because it's like sexualized photos. What do you mean by sexualized photos? Like, are we talking about nudes? And then are we talking about the degradation of women in nudes because of revenge porn? Are we talking about how, like, women's bodies are now censored more on fucking IG than men's? Do you know what I mean? Like, it expands to so much, and I find it very irritating and very... like, how am I supposed to find effort to educate people when things like this? I understand why people don't come forward. I completely understand why people don't come forward because of examples like this. Like, you've already had a traumatic experience. Every time you fucking talk about it, you're opening that wound. Every time you have to experiencing it, whether you're saying it to a partner, whether you're saying it to a friend, you're letting them into that bit of rawness that you have, right? And everyone's different. I don't know if your sexual assault killed your mind, but in most cases it does. You become paranoid, you become fearful, and it's unfair that women are. There's no right or wrong way to do things, and this is why conversations like this are just so fucking necessary. Like, all of this email's pissing me off. Like, fucking, he sent sexualized photos to the attacker. It's the birthday, so ready for a wild night. I know exactly what fucking story they would have made of this woman, and it's so heartbreaking. Just imagine, you're young, it's your 18th fucking birthday, you're ready to the world, and now you're met with pain, trauma, and conviction that you have to live with for the rest of your life.
And it's like, this is why I say
fucking
as well,
joke.
Is we need to deal with this before it reaches, like, this needs to be dealt with before it reaches the justice system, because it should never be allowed to reach the point in which that guy is actually going out and raping someone.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you think about it as well, like with James Charles, for example, he was told that he was engaging in problematic behaviour 2 years ago.
Okay.
And at that point, everyone was like, okay.
What? So did people find messages with him and these guys?
Well, he wasn't necessarily speaking to underage people, but they said he was acting inappropriately.
Okay.
And they called him out. And that, in a way, has helped this time, because people were willing to call him out. They were like, look, we're going to give you a second chance, but know that you need to learn from this. And know that you need to change your behaviour. And because he didn't, that acts as a good base of evidence against him.
Okay, that's
for,
true.
Like removing his platform, possibly prosecuting him.
It even says here, Morphy part ways amid sexual misconduct allegations. Like, this is the first of many, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, this is the thing though, is that if we act before it gets severe, if people are warned before, you know, because I think that what will happen with this is that people will do something small. They might do something cheeky, they might say something cheeky, and they'll get away with that, and then they'll push it further, because I don't think that guy involved in that story, there was a pattern of behaviour long before he decided to drug her drink, take her home in a taxi. No guy just starts off by doing that. No guy goes, right, I'm going to go on Amazon and I'm going to order like drugs and going to go. Or I don't think that happens very often.
There's a seed of doubt. There's room to be manipulated. Oh, this has worked. Oh my fucking God. There's actually a quote. There's a scene when in Euphoria, he's talking to his dad. So the Nate, the guy that we were talking about before, he's talking to his dad, and his dad literally says to him, I hope I didn't teach you the wrong lesson. I hope you didn't get away with it with the wrong lesson. And it's this idea that, like, people who are manipulative, they don't learn, they just adapt, right? They don't change, they just evolve. They evolve to the next experience, the next environment, the next situation that they're in. If this man, even let's say the man the man who assaulted, the man who raped this 18-year-old victim, there is no doubt in me that this, like, you don't just go from 0 to 100. Do you know what I mean?
Go to doing
you don't go from 0 to 100. There's something in the world, there's something in rape culture that makes you think that it's okay, or you don't even realise that's a culture and therefore you don't see it as rape. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't realise that. Well, people can rape people but not even realising a rape. People think the rape is literally forcing someone down and fucking them. There's so many forms of rape. Did you ever see I think there was a show on BBC Three, it was What is Consent or something, and they showed it was like a group of people, they're in a house and they had to watch this video, they had to measure the video. It was like a study, but then they had to listen to interviews with people, and people were like, is this rape? Is this not rape? And it was following a story of someone enforcing what's the word? Like oral sex. And I'm happy that don't get me wrong, I hate that it happened, but in the reconstruction of the video, I'm happy that they chose oral sex as the act, because people just assume that it's fucking what's it called? It's penetration. It's intercourse.
Yeah.
That's not the fucking case. The amount of this can go down to fucking being at house parties and horny fucking teenage boys trying to finger women.
Yeah.
It literally can go down to that. But because women are intimidated of speaking out because worse is going to be done to them, or they're told that it's going to be done to them, or they're fucking shown it in the fucking media or on TV or in the news, that they don't speak out, and these men just keep on doing what they're doing.
I think as well, it's like that, because that's probably the sort of behaviour that guy was engaging in before this had happened.
Yeah.
And if someone had gone at that party and go, wait, what are you doing? Like, why? And if someone had gone, and if they'd, like, if maybe not even the police would have had to get involved, but if like someone had gone, right, you're not coming back into this party until you've changed your behaviour, until you've learnt what you've done is wrong, until you've apologised. Because to be fair, once the crime gets particularly extreme, it's kind of gone past apology.
Yeah.
But
100%.
Like, when it's like just acting inappropriately, being pushy, I think that's the point in which apology, like is learning an apology. Yeah. But we have to catch things before they hit these extreme.
But equally, what do you say to, like, number one, who measures what's extreme?
Yeah.
Because some people, okay, so let's say, some people out here experience what this female victim has experienced. Some people out here get slapped on the bum on a night out.
Yeah.
That's still invasive. That's still unsettling. We don't know if the person who's been slapped on the bum out has had sexual trauma as well. So now that's another scar to their fucking original wound. We don't know that. We just see people's people. So that's why we have to be conscious.
I think that we need to empower people to be able to... First, we need the people who... around whoever has done that act to be able to say, wait, what you did isn't right, and you need to know why this isn't right, and you also need to empower women to be able to actually speak back and say,
speak back,
actually,
and not
this isn't, like, don't do this, this isn't appropriate behaviour.
Because that's the thing, I feel like, don't you like speaking back, or even speaking, it can be easier for some and not for many, like, or vice versa. Like, I say this often, like, how I'm fortunate that I'm an active person and I can speak up naturally. Like, something could kick off and I'd be like, what are you doing? And my mind hasn't even processed what I've even said because I've already run to defend, right? However, for some people, that's really fucking hard. But equally, it could be hard for me in a different setting, in a different environment. And that's why we all need to give ourselves patience and grace. But then equally, I think that there needs to be, like... I don't know, we're talking about all these things of like, it needs to be or we want to be, but like, ultimately, it's what the victim fucking wants. Like, how's the victim being centered, I'd say? Because if we can work with the victim's, like, if we can center the victim in the resolution, then we're moving forward regardless. Because at the end of the day, the perpetrator, because it could be anyone, but for this episode, the perpetrator, and for what they did, they put that out there, and I promise you they will get that back to them. That's one thing that I'm learning a lot. Like, I hate to say it, and I don't want to come off this woo-woo shit and be like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. I'm really, really conscious of that. Like, especially the bloody... Let me not. But I bring this up to say that, like, one thing that I'm definitely learning is what you put out, you get back. And you might not be able to see it, but it will happen. So I want to center the victim. I want to center their needs and their wants, their frustrations, because they could become bitter, resentful, and want to do harm to this person. And yeah, I understand they want to do harm to this person, but I want you to be well. You know, like, I want that to be more important than the revenge and the fight and the aggression that you have to this person. Don't get me wrong, you can have it, and let's find a safe place or safe way to deal with it. If you want to fight that person, don't bring me on, don't invite me in it. But it's the fact that, like, at some point, the suffering or the revenge or the anger that you have for the person outweighs your wellness, and I want that to be higher. I want the wellness to be higher, and then we'll deal with the fucking
and
man.
Also it needs to, like, this might take a bit of a turn, because I think a lot of what we've been talking about hasn't really focused on necessarily like underage things, but I was talking to someone, I won't say who has a parent who works in, actually you'll know who, because I know they watch the podcast, but like who has a parent who works with people who are in the criminal justice system because of their behaviour in regards to this sort of thing, or because they're concerned that they might engage in this kind of behaviour.
Okay.
And a lot of them themselves are victims. So it kind of becomes a cycle of abuse. And the thing is that by the time the criminal justice system gets involved, it's too late. Someone else has been abused, and they are at risk of going on to abuse someone else.
100%.
So it's almost like, yes, the criminal justice system will probably always be part of how we deal with this, but we need to explore other avenues to break this cycle, because if we don't break every part of the cycle will like continue on.
Oh, 100%.
And it's like we need to do things preventatively as much as we do things retrospectively.
Yes, a proverb by, you know what, that could even be a direct message. You know those little post-it note things I do on Instagram? We need to think about this, you know, not just for abuse, but we need to think about this for all areas of crime where people wrong each other. We need to work on prevention as much as cure in a lot of respects, because this stuff will only change with, we need to change culture, we need to change, but not just change culture, we have to be more culturally competent, because that's the thing, like we can talk about these issues, but then if I bring culture, whether it is let me talk about East African, the conservative culture that I was able to like see as I was growing up, it made me really, really, really become frustrated with how women are presented. But I also knew that like that was from a long way from where I was. Do you know what I mean? I'm South Sudanese. Like we literally got independence in 2012. 2012 is 2021.
Less than 10 years.
That's
almost
11
10 years. Celebrate next year.
So it'll be 10 years but I mean this to say that like if we're the newest country since 2012, just imagine some of the mindsets that I've had to navigate at parties or at family affairs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Especially being as outspoken and as forward as I am. Like,
and it's that's the thing is like we can say, you know, we can spend the whole day talking about how, you know, we want to change laws, how we want to put policemen in nightclubs, how we want to do this, that, and the other. But that would be awful. The biggest thing that will create change is a change in culture. Because if there's not the culture behind there, you can put in as many processes, you can put in as many like things that you want. But if there isn't a culture of listening to victims, listening to people who bring up allegations, and if there isn't a culture of trying to recognise dangerous patterns of behaviour before they go too far, before they do someone harm that is so severe and so permanent, it has such an impact on their life. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, the smaller acts don't cause problems, you know, and death by 1,000 cuts and all of that, but if we can at least try and nip it in the bud before it becomes even worse, then I think that's got to be a solution. Because it's about educating everyone so that everyone can have a culture of being aware of the behaviour, being aware of what's inappropriate, and at least trying to sort of call people out and educate people.
The same energy you give to boys wearing blue and girls wearing pink is the same energy that you need to give to boys not hurting women and women respecting their boundaries.
Yeah.
That is like we're not asking you for much, guys, just do the same energy, but for the right intention, not for an intention that is outdated, that centers patriarchy, which we all know is killing us all. Literally, patriarchy, capitalism is killing us. Everybody. No one benefits underneath it. Nobody.
And I think that we need to change into a culture of like being aware of this stuff from the get-go. Yeah. And not and I think especially if you're in a position of power, whether that's that you're popular, whether that's that you've got access to things, whether that's that you've got a lot of money, you need to be aware of how you have a responsibility to make sure that people under you aren't causing trouble, and you also have a responsibility to make sure that you aren't even unintentionally you've got to be aware that there will be a power, you've got to be aware of the power dynamics between you and between other people, and how that you may not even realize that you're actually misusing it. If you've got a platform and you use that to, it's like a lot of things, you hear of YouTubers going out with fans and stuff.
I mean, it's what we were just talking about, literally
a huge power dynamic between them. And also if you're a movie producer and you know that your director is doing things with their power, and you have the power to stop that from happening, you have the power to remove their job role, or get HR involved or whatever. I think people, if you're in a position of power to do something, I think you have to make sure that you don't abuse your power, and you also use your power to make sure that other people aren't abusing their positions. So
just gave me inspiration for something. And
so partially that, and also we need to call out behaviour sooner.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
We need to be willing to make sure to educate. We need to make sure that we have a culture of educating everyone on what is right and what's wrong. And we need to have a culture of if someone doesn't get that message, and making sure that they know that what they're doing isn't right. Yeah. And because that's the only the only way, the biggest force is going to be cultural. Yeah. And that's not to say that we don't need more counselling. That's not to say that we don't need a better criminal justice system. But those things are only going to work in tandem with a culture of consent. Yeah. And a culture that works proactively rather than retroactively to sort of stop this stuff from happening.
Spoken like a true poet, like a true writer, true oracle. Look at you go. That was great. And that's the truth. Yeah. I honestly I feel like we've explored so much in this Decoding the Messes, and it makes me hopeful for what can come out of our generation, what can come out of these conversations. Now, I just hope it's been put into action. So send this, you know what? If I know you're going to enjoy this episode. Let me just gas myself. Send this to your friends. Send this to your guys. Say this to your partners. Send this to your uncles. Send this to your everything, because...
And if you take anything from it, I guess... let's create a proactive culture of consent and of respect of each other. Yeah. And let's be proud to uphold that culture.
Exactly, because consent can be sexy.
Let's be proud to respect boundaries and to respect these things can be a force for good. So I think that, like we need to, I think that it should be, because it's like, for example, with safety in workplaces, a lot of people used to die back in the day. And it's not just systems.
Oh my god, yeah, that's such
like a lot
so
of people
funny.
were just crushed under machines, and there was a culture of like, oh well, if you don't like it, just go and get a work somewhere else, innit?
Yeah.
Like, well, you're just being like a weak marny pants that you think about safe, but it's like it's only through the fact that safety has become something that everyone wants to proactively work towards, and that we've made things safer.
Yeah.
And that because if there's always this culture of like, oh well, you only like consent because you're a little bit soft or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like if we see, like we need to create a culture which is consent positive, which is boundary positive.
No, which
sees this as like a force for good, and that we need to make sure that we work on making sure that respecting boundaries and consent is a positive thing and is a proactive thing.
Amen.
That we all share a part in upholding.
There you go.
But especially people who are in positions of power, who may be in groups which more typically.
There you go. I think that's a great place to end Decoding the Messes. Yeah. That was great. Woo. I don't think I have anything else to say after you said that.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, that's Decoding Messes. We're going tarot time. Tarot talks. It's not tarot time. So what was it called? Tarot talks. That's it.
Tarot time.
I forgot. No, it's not tarot time.
I have a camera.
It's not tarot time.
It is now.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're at Tarot Talks. We've got 2 cameras, like always. Well, the visual family will know, but I guess for all the people that listen to the podcast, they'll actually not know that we have a 2-camera setup. So, you know, if you want to see my face, see Josh's face, here we are. With our switchboard. But no, we're back for Tarot Talks. I'm just shuffling the cards. Trying to get a feel for them, you know. I'm using this gorgeous deck. I actually got gifted this deck for my birthday by a lovely girl called Malika, and they're Farsi. She's Iranian, and they're gorgeous. And yeah, so thank you so much, Malika. You're amazing. So let me give these a bit of a shuffle. So I've decided to do 2 questions and some advice. My first question that I want for this reading is, what can we give? Well, I want to give a card for men, basically. This is a card for men. What can they do better? How can we educate? How can we educate your son, but from a man's perspective? Like, I want this card literally to be for men. What can men do next? Give it to me, Spirit, please. High power. Wait, do I want to shuffle them?
Yeah, go for it. I'm very good at shuffling.
Okay, cool. So the next card that I'm going to do is, we spoke a lot about today about all the individuals who sort of struggle to find their voice, or stand up for themselves, or sort of stand in their power. So this card is for all those individuals who just need to find a little something to stand up for themselves, stand up in their power, stand up for their wants, you know. Oh, that one just flew out. Okay, right. And then I want another card for the community, for the collective, as a general advice. Oh, okay. All right. Shit, son. Okay. Let's go for these cards. So the first card that I got for men is called the Page of Cups. When we see a page, you either have them or you need them. This is because they're a court card and they describe a personality characteristic. The Page of Cups is associated with the element with water. They want to go with the ebbs and flows of life. They're a creative individual. They are imaginative. They draw their inspiration from anything, but they understand that their cup, their vessel, is theirs, and it can be pretty and royal and regal and decorative, but they are the authority of their life. They have to like... Actually, one thing that you can say about a page is that they're quite immature in the family compared to a king or a queen, but that's not something that you should shy away from. That could be potential to develop, potential to expand, a potential to move, right? If the Page of Cups is identifying with water, identifying with identifying with your emotions, your feelings, your belief system, this is a reminiscent to your inner child. This is associated with the things that actually fulfill you, that bring you joy. When you see this card, it talks about naivety, but your childlike joy. You know, that thing that really gets you up and going in the morning, and you're like, wow. Like, even when I told you about how I was cycling through Manchester and there's no cars on the road, I felt like a child, you know? Yeah. It was so lovely. It put me back in that sort of, you know, that energy of when you knock for your friends after school and it's like, yeah, let's do shit.
Yeah.
It's that kind of energy.
And I feel, is it sort of saying that they're like the learning, not only is there learning to be done to sort of remove, I guess, some of the downsides of naivety.
Yeah.
There's also, it can be a positive thing. Like
100%.
Like the learning doesn't have to be like a whole negative experience.
Exactly. One thing that I've learned in therapy, that I'm not the best at looking after, not even just looking after my emotions, but I'm not the best at like presenting my emotions to others, right? That is something that I'm slowly unlearning in therapy, but realistically it's something that I'm going to unearth for the rest of my life. Looking after our emotions, whether we were in therapy or not, is something that we're going to have to deal with for the rest of our life. So let me make this relationship gentle, soothing, kind, nurturing, restorative. You know, let me make this relationship healing and sentimental. Let me not make this relationship harsh and crude, because as soon as it does, that's when my rose-tinted glasses come to provide illusions for me. Then I'm like, oh no, it can't be that bad. It's not going to be okay. No. As a child, what does our inner child most want? That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, regardless of if we're like me and you, we're 24. How old are you? You're 20, right?
20.
So yeah, I'm 24, you're 20. People can learn this in their fucking 50s, that their inner child is still going to be directing them. Inner child, you know what? An unhealthy inner child can also direct you. Because if you're an unhealthy inner child, now I'm looking for what's going to get me quickly to the most high. Whether that's drinking, whether that's hanging out with my friends, whether that's dealing with toxic behaviors. Because the Page of Child is... all pages are potential, and if the goal of Cups is to flow with the fluidity of life, how's the page nurturing their immediate self to provide the life that they want? You know, like, it's like the pages' responsibility is to speak the needs of the page, because when they don't, that's when they become scattered. That's when they start chasing the needs of other else. So in comparison to this question, for men, I think men need to get closer to their inner child. I think men need to get closer to what either soothes them, nourishes them, because you see so much water going in the background, and this could even talk about how the water or the trials and tribulations of life can take you off your feet. And it's how you move with it, how you're going to be dynamic, how you're going to be flexible, because everything changes in this life. You are the constant thing that you have. You're constantly in your body, you're constantly having your mind, you're constantly going to move in the flesh suit that you have. So it's best to understand that the feelings, the emotions, are a temporary solution to this physical experience. You know, because the pages, when I see this card, I even think about love and romance, and think about your child's desires. And look at this person, their hands are open, like they're nervous, but their fish is out there water. Their fish, they want to show what their fish is. They want to be like, oh my god, guys, look at me, like, I want to chill with you guys. They're opening their hand out to like bring things into the world, but will they let it, or is their hand gonna get burnt because they're putting their hand in every fucking cup? You know, it's like we can't just look at cups as like, what is the content of this cup? What is the cup carrying? Are you the vessel? You know, like there's all these questions that are associated to this interaction with our feelings, and the page is the potential of how to love. The page is like, it's mad because in psychology, in like ages ago, I think it was like even AS psychology, they talk about attachment styles and how your early attachments will influence your future attachments, and how, let's say, an insecure individual not now being an insecure adult, and it's nurturing this period, nurturing the inner child that you have in with yourself, so that you're making the most heartfelt decisions. And I think that's why the hand's reaching out. And even if we look in the world, when can men explore the Page of Cups? When toxic masculinity will not let them, patriarchy will not let them. So it's a encouragement to get into more of their feminine side. And like, I don't want to gender this conversation, even though we have spoken a lot about gender today, but I hope people understand that I'm talking about it in a sort of heteronormative examples in relation to the cases that we've been speaking about. I want men to feel open to the fluidity of life, because once they do, they will understand that the needs of their needs are important. And right now, I think they share their needs out so much that they don't. I was about to say not all men, how ironic. I feel like the Page of Cups sometimes shares so much that they don't have anything for themselves, and then that's when they start to feel scarcity, and that's when they start to feel hunger, and they might produce manipulative behaviours to cope with their emotions, you know. But this page comes to you because they provide you with evidence of being open, being fluid, you know, like you've got this, men, but it's your choice now, because the page is all to do with potential. And it's like, right, okay, so in tarot,
there's potential there to learn.
There's a potential to learn, but like, well, we've been doing this ages, so I'll be able to explain this, right? So in tarot, you have numbers 1 to 10, yeah? You have numbers 1 to 10, but as soon as you get to 10, you go all the way back to 1. Number 1 reincides with the page. Right? Number 1 reincides with the page because it's potential. It's like, okay, I've got this energy, I'm building myself up. I get to 10, now I've got all this awareness. I have to go back to the beginning with my new awareness, but with a new beginner attitude, because I'm now learning something new. I'm on a new quest. I've graduated from this love level, and now I'm back at the beginning. Do you know what I mean? I'm back at my foundation. And this is encouraging men to get closer to their inner children, inner selves, to their inner child. Like, I don't know what that means for you. Maybe it is finding a hobby, maybe it's running, maybe it's drawing, maybe it's going on walks, maybe it's watching bloody Drag Race. I don't know. Find it. Because as soon as you do, you'll accept more flow and more abundance to your life. Boom. Next card. We asked Spirit for advice on how to sort of get to our stronger, how to reclaim our power, how to get sort of to our stronger selves. And we got the 3 of Pentacles in reversed. The Pentacles talk about items that are tangible, items that can be materialized. And with the 3 of Pentacles, you see this individual carefully painting their pentacle. They're looking really close to it. They're using a tool to paint, and they're just going for it. This 3 of Pentacles is upside down, and when you see 3s, right, it's to do with creative abstraction. But let's say when a 3's upside down, now it's like, oh, so much creativity. Oh, is one of the, so let's say if you saw a triangle, yeah, it's like, oh, is the triangle base like faulty? Is it laying information out? Like 3's upside down, yes, they are a magic number, but without intentional energy, it's going to be misdirected, it's going to be misconstrued. And that's relative in the 3 of Pentacles, because you see this individual who's carefully planning, and what's working for them isn't maybe taking a bit of time. It could be a bit I'm gonna read the energy of this card. Take me a second, sorry. Okay, so the Three of Pentacles, we've got 2 threes. So we got a Page of Cups, so we got water, earth, air, and earth. Right. Okay, so Three of Pentacles, I asked how we can find more power to speak up for ourselves, right? I asked for more strength to reclaim our power for all those times that we've felt shaken. We can look at the Three of Pentacles. This card talks about getting information by collaboration, getting information by networking. However, because this individual is alone and they're carefully painting their pentacle, I think that is maybe you were the assurance that you needed. Maybe you were the self-assurance that you needed, and you don't need to look outside to find what you want, because the Three of Pentacles shows this individual carefully working, but then equally it's the only card that's reversed. What was working for them might have not been serving them. You know what? I think that's actually the reading. What was working for you wasn't serving you. You might have been wasting time doing this form of habit, catering to this goal, thinking that it's going to be beneficial to you in the end. I don't know, maybe you're a pick-me, maybe you were indecisive, maybe you just were scared. It doesn't matter. Whatever was working for you isn't working before. And now, to embrace the Three of Pentacle energy, you're going to have to think abstractly to the situation that you're in now. There's work involved, whether that's personal development on yourself, maybe it's you getting out of your ego space and refining the principles that have cemented your structure. Because if we look at Three of Pentacles as a foundation, this individual needs collaboration to make this individual needs collaboration to cement this foundation. However, they're currently working on something on their own. Maybe this is a time for you to speak to like-minded individuals to realize that your identity, your narrative isn't the only one. Because I think that's something that not happens to everyone, but we can feel quite isolated by our own demons. We can feel quite isolated by our own traumas. But the Three of Pentacles it usually shows people working together, but this person's working by themselves. I get that you definitely need to try something new, but I also feel like there needs to be like a proactive, mechanical activity to assist the process. It's like, you know how people have hobbies and then they have a hobby for their hands, whether that's knitting, it's like, whatever made you stand strong needs to be flipped on its head to work for you. Because this person's concerned with what they're doing and they're not looking outside, but this person might be a bit more like, oh, but what if my triangle? What about my coin? What about this? You know what? I'm going to go to the next 2 cards and I'm going to see if it picks up afterwards. Okay, so the next card we got is Three of Swords and the Nine of Pentacles. This is big energy, and I love it because all the threes actually coincide with the Empress. And if you get the Nine of Pentacles, that's pre-Empress energy. The Nine of Pentacles is an amazing card to get because the Nine of Pentacles is an individual who knows how to appropriately admit balance. So in original Rider-Waite deck, she has 6 pentacles for herself and she's giving 3 pentacles away. So she's nourishing the garden that she lives in, but she's also understanding that harmonizing with the world that she's in will only bring her more fruition back to her, will only bring more abundance back to her. The Three of Swords talks about heartbreak, but this is like fantasy and illusion, and I love it that I sort of was able to develop that link because I think throughout life, well, we have heart-piercing pain, right? But is that pain that we've brought up in ourselves, or that's pain that's physically happened? You know, I think we get into mental anguish when we want something to happen and it doesn't go our way, hence the Three of Swords picture. But when you pair that with the Nine of Pentacles, you're not starting from nothing, you're starting from wisdom. It's using that mental information, like all the intellect that pierced your heart space is now information that can fuel the needs of the heart space. It's like you pierce something and it's poozing out because we think the rawness is taking something away from it. But we were already whole. That pierce is literally a scar. We were already whole to begin with. We don't have to think of other things, external things, whether it's like the things that we want or the partners that we want. Like, we can't think of life as a series of I'm just pulled to the snake now.
I think what I'm getting from this reading is that we're not starting from square one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this problem, yes, it still exists, but it's something that we've already made progress on.
Yeah.
We're already working on, and it's disheartening to see that bad things continue to happen, piercings and scars are still coming, but we need to remember that if we compared to, say, the past, we're in a position of more strength and more health
and
than we were
abundance and wealth.
previously. And what we need to do is we need to accept that there's learning experiences. We need to sort of remove egos from the equation and try and just all approach this in a way that's maybe childlike in its willingness to learn,
yes,
but mature in its ability to implement.
No, that's completely true, because think about it. If you've got the Page of Cups, which is like the inner child's wants, then you've got the Three of Pentacles. What's working for them hasn't been working, so they need to if they're unhealthy like this, they need to become more balanced like this, right? But the fantasy and the illusion, or the conflict between the fantasy and the illusion, will have you stubborn in this. It will have you rooted in your beliefs. Pentacles, earth energy. It will have you cemented in the repetitive cycles of frustration of, oh, it's not going my way, I've been working so hard and this and this and this. Honey, I know you've been working hard, but like, for you to embrace what is really yours, you're gonna have to shake the table by being a bit more adaptive and open with how you get your things. And this could be your love things, this could be your feeling things, it could be many a thing.
Yeah, I think that it's like, maybe we need to now find a new path forward. And I feel in some respects that path forward is very cultural. And I think that we need to recognise how far we've come, whilst also recognising that we've got a long way to go. And we've got to be willing to find different ways to approach the problem. And be willing to learn. And remove our sort of egos from
100%.
the situation.
Because that's the thing.
And our sort of, especially for men, I guess those card was for women, but also for men, there needs to be an element of removing your ego and your inflated sense of personality that makes you feel entitled to do the things that you do. But
the thing is, people only do that when they don't think there's enough to share. Because the Nine of Pentacles, you see her in her garden. She's literally got reefs and boundaries of bloody pentacles. She's got a narrative there. She's chilling with an animal. Like, she's happy. She literally knows that everything around her is for her, but she knows what isn't for her won't pass her by. You know, like, it's literally the circle of life. But what's different with this queen? What's different between the Nine of Pentacles and the Page of Cups? The fantasy and illusion. They're getting their illusions from the content of this cup, and their responsibility is to make. They need to change the water, and they need to decorate their vessel, and that's their responsibility. But the Nine of Pentacles, she's just chilling, she's working hard, and she's reaping what she sows. That's the difference between the personality energies. I'm going to pick up a card for clarification. This one actually stuck out to me, and I know exactly why it did. It's the Emperor. That's my birthday card. The Emperor is Aries. They're the father energy. They move through the world undaunted. They're authoritative. They're sincere. They understand that yes, they may have creative ideas, and yes, they may have all the imagination in the world, but without structure to implement the stability of that, then it's going to be hard to fucking develop. Yeah. So the Emperor arrives with He arrives with societal intelligence. He's able to network, be professional, bring people together, but he also understands that the world is a matrix, and he's going to work in alignment with the things that benefit him. You know, he's not going to waste his time pouring into empty cups. He's gonna pour into cups that have similar vessels to him, because he knows that's going to reap more benefits, produce more things, and expand more things. Like, I think the number for Emperor is number 4, I think. And even number 4 is about foundation, stability. How are we being the emperor of your own lives? I always get this card in Kalechi's Seasoning Soul deck, and it's like, you are the sole authority of your life. Act like it.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody else that's going to force you, encourage you like you do. So you should. And I think educate your son. This episode is a reminder of that. We can give you the information out there. However, it's going to take your responsibility. If you want a better world, make it. Call out the people that need to be called out, but also understand that your healing is going to be sensitive. It's going to need a lot of vulnerability from you. It's going to need a lot of patience from you. The people around you on your wastelands to project on, because that's what a lot of things happen. People learn, and then they get upset with what they've learned, and then they project that nonsense onto the closest to them. Honey, we're all struggling out together. There's an abundance of suffering to go around, but let's be all patient with each other that we can walk through it.
Yeah, and I think as well what you said about being receptive is that maybe we are best focusing on the people who will be receptive to the message, and creating a community of people who are willing to take control and willing to call out things and willing to, because realistically no one's going to listen to this episode who I don't think
like
we might be
women.
yeah
but it's true, like no one who like hates women is going to listen to this episode
feels like,
I mean, they should.
They can get away, like, so what we need to do is we need to find the people who are willing to listen, and we need to join up and take action.
Yeah. Or the people that are willing to listen and educate the people that don't want to be educated. They can do that. They can educate for the people that don't want to educate, you know?
Yeah, but that's too much of a burden for one person to take on alone.
Exactly. No one can be one martyr. So also respect yourself.
Everyone who can should.
Yeah, like respect yourself by respecting your boundaries. Listen to your body, and like that should also determine how much you want to give to a situation. Because I know, like, I'm out here doing podcasts and that, talking about all these things. Sometimes I'm literally in a group of people, and they'll be like, "Oh, what's your thought on this?" I'm like, "I don't want to say anything." I don't want to say anything. You'll find out next week on a Sunday at DM Talks. That's what I say, because you can find my content there. Sometimes it's draining. Sometimes people want to exist too. But I think this has been a lovely reading, though.
Yeah.
It's been honestly really nice. I think it's been very proactive, and I'm definitely gonna share the spreads, because that's the thing. I got into the habit of sharing the spreads on the Insta, but then I got out of it, so I need to keep on doing that. Because I think this is very constructive. So thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Universe. Amazing. This takes us to our next segment, or our last segment, which is called the direct message. This is where we leave a little take-home message for the listeners. Josh, what is your take-home message?
We need to let's start being proactive. Let's start acting on things before they become a problem rather than after they are a problem, because it's so much harder. Prevention is always better than cure, and it's kind of true for most things. And let's start looking at how we can call people out on their behaviour before it becomes more severe before they start chasing ever higher highs.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, they might do one thing, get away with it, have a rush of endorphins, and they keep having to chase higher and higher goals in order to, and they might find ways to justify the morality of their actions to themselves, and the more extreme the behavior they engage in, like the more that they'll continue to warp their sense of what is and what isn't right. So by having someone come in and say, and telling them,
cut your shit,
like, straight off, and, you know, stopping that pattern from happening, stopping like, it's a lot easier to have a tree stand up if you, like, do something before it gets cut down. Like, it's not, like, once something's already happened, it's incredibly hard to rectify
it. Yeah.
So, like
straight facts.
Let's create a culture of being proactive, of wanting, of, you know, talking to people. Yeah, that probably wasn't the way that I want to end it, but yeah. Basically,
no, I think that was a great end, because I feel like it's just, I mean, I'm sure we've repeated ourselves or recycled the same information a lot on this podcast, but, like, it's just because we said it again doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be said. Do you know what I mean?
Let's create a proactive culture of enthusiastic consent.
Enthusiastic consent, that's what we want, 2021.
Yeah.
Tell them. Amazing. Thank you, Josh. I really, really enjoyed your direct message. What my direct message is, calling out does not have to be as crazy as a lot of people make out to be. It is literally an opportunity for you to relearn. Like, it's an opportunity for you to be like, oh shit, I see it from your perspective. Or it's an opportunity for you to reflect on by yourself. It's opportunity for so much. So I really want people not to be discouraged by when people call them out on inappropriate things or call them out on things that they don't agree on. Don't get me wrong, some people aren't your peoples, and that's life. But that's a different lesson in itself, because then you understand what capacity you have certain friendships in.
And the problem is that now calling out, because things are let go so long, the calling out is a lot more severe.
Yeah.
But if the calling out happens earlier on,
the calling out needs to happen as soon as you can. So for all those people that have been victimized, that have been violated, that have been disrespected in any way, like, I'm so sorry that's happened to you, but I see you, and I want you to know that your feelings are the most important thing. Your healing is the most important thing, and your wellness is far greater than any frustration that there is in the world. So do whatever you do to make you happy, because, like, so many times, like, I fucking hate victim blaming. Like, it's the quickest thing to get me angry, and I will not settle for it in my 24 years of age. I won't settle for it when I'm older. I didn't settle for it when I was 12. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna settle for this outdated, discriminative, gendered violent way of living. Like, I'm just not doing it. And I advise and encourage all the people that have been hurt to put themselves first and heal in a way that is restorative and nourishing. I only wish the best for you. For the people who don't know how to keep their hands to themselves, who don't know to keep their comments to themselves, it will never be well with you. But I promise you it will never be well with you, because number one, you put that energy out there, but you haven't made a reconciliation to change ways. That's what pisses me off about men. Like, you'll have men who's like, oh shit, let's do this. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, but it's not that bad, is it? Those people, I don't have patience for you. I hope maybe you might find someone who does, but I don't. And I think, well, you it's not safe. It's not safe to be around you. So I hope you don't hang around with people that scare you, because they deserve better. And I think we have to be a bit more comfortable with being like no and yes, because so many times, like, I've seen it happen to so many people where they're like, oh no, I don't want to do it because it will make that person feel uncomfortable. What about you? What about your comfort? Like, why is it always the perpetrator's comfort or the perpetrator's feelings or the perpetrator's job or the perpetrator's like, why are we all, what about the fucking victim? Like, at the end of the day, I will always believe the victim, because no person would go out of their way to come forward if they know that everyone's going to gaslight them.
And I want to say,
no person would do that. It's just common fucking sense.
And I want to say, like, as part of this culture of trusting, of listening to people who don't necessarily have the same authority as you. So, there's an example. I'll take this example. The worst plane accident ever to happen. Was
Malaysia Airlines?
No, it was in Tenerife Airport, I think, in the 70s or 80s.
Okay.
2 747s smashed into each other.
I thought you said 147 for a second. I was like, what?
It's like, okay, this seems a bit far off, but this is the importance of culture. So the captain was getting impatient, and he was a very high up captain in the airline. He was very revered, and the other people in the cockpit were afraid to call him out when he made a mistake.
Oh my God.
And that mistake was beginning to accelerate the plane when he didn't know the runway was clear in fog. And it's probably a bit more complicated than that, but you know, he was skipping steps, he was being impatient, and the other people didn't feel comfortable to call him out. And
fucking hell.
Then what you end up with is 2 giant planes and like 500 people dead. And that's obviously an example. But
thank you so much for bringing it up, because that literally shows you one example of how someone, by doing their job, they would have been calling him out, by the way. Let me just explain that. By doing their job, they would have called him out.
But they were afraid to, because of that culture of, are they going to get reprimanded? Are they going to get shouted at? And this is where, like one of the reasons flying is safer now is because companies have created a culture where they encourage people, if they spot a mistake made by a superior, they call it out and they won't be reprimanded for that. And if the superior decides to have a go at them for it, the superior will be the one who's in trouble.
Yeah, that's how it should be done.
And it's also like a culture of calling out mistakes, calling out errors, without necessarily having to have that reflect personally on the person. It's like, okay, you made a mistake, let's learn from this. Let's create this into a productive thing. And obviously, if they're flouting the rules, if they know what they're doing is wrong and they're continuing to do it, then we have a conversation about that. But there should also be a space for learning and a space for telling people when something isn't right that is constructive.
Tell them. I feel like we've given you at least 1,000 direct messages in our last segment, but you know what? You deserve it. And this conversation, the thing is, this conversation is so loaded. This conversation is so triggering. Like, I'm just so happy that I was able to like do it with you and it'd be really chill. Because like, I love the fact, even people who've brought this up to me, like, they'll see my podcast, they'll see the people that I'm having in the podcast, so they know that the conversations are inclusive, they're moving forward, you know? It's not just like an echo chamber of my own words, mirroring my own voices. So I'm really proud that we're able to achieve this, and I'm hoping that this conversation can help change minds and help people feel a bit more... just seen, because that's what we want. Do you know what I mean? We want to be seen, we want to be respected. Josh, leave the DM Talk family with your handles. So
I've got a website that's
handly.media. Check out the website, it's beautiful.
If you want me to make something for you, if you want to hire me, go
do
there.
It. You but on the real, no lie, guys, my audio, my quality in video, like even the I can't remember the other thing, but how do I explain it? Just the innovative, like random things that you see at DM Talks. Look at Josh. You can have it too. So please pay Josh for all of your media and thingy needs, because it's all about networking, you know?
Yeah, no, and I've got an Instagram. I can't remember. It's like
Josh Projects.
Josh's random photos.
Oh.
Josh's project. I've got like 3 different Instagram accounts.
Josh has burner accounts that he terrorizes people on. Okay. You probably do, don't you?
No. All of my accounts have my face and my name on them.
Okay, so you want them to know that you dragged them, basically. You want to know that you gave them the smoke.
Possibly. Sometimes I'll drag people on Twitter.
Yeah. No, I think one of the funniest times is when me and someone recorded and we turned around and I just saw you on the comments of like.
Oh yeah, I was dragging someone on Twitter, I think.
And then you were like, "Sorry, Sarah, but," and then you just told me this whole thing, and I was like, "Oh, Josh is at it again." But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We have spoken so much. I've also just really, really enjoyed these interactive ones. So if you like something similar, if you want to do it, get involved, email me, dmtalks11@gmail.com. Yeah, I think I'm going to put more IG posts just to make this thing more interactive. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know Josh. I want you to get to know me.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone who sent their stories, because in speaking out, speak out to help out, as Rishi Sunak would probably say.
There you go. Thank you so much for the people that have submitted. Like, you've really, really helped push this conversation. I'm definitely excited to do more things, because you never know. This could be like a part 1. You never know. Yeah. I mean, we're going to be... Well, the world is the world. There's enough suffering in the world to go around. I'm sure we can talk about something else. But we're going to come with love and light on the episode. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I've been your host, Sarah DM. You can find this podcast on DM Talks at... Oh, wait, no. Let me reload that. Blah, blah, blah. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube. All podcast streaming platforms. I always say that wrong. All streaming podcast platforms or podcast streaming platforms. One of the two. You can find us. You'll see our beautiful faces. Enjoy. We're here every Sunday. Lots of love. Hasta luego. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.